Welcome to our March 2nd, 2021 City Council meeting. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Matt, will you start us off with a roll call, please?
Councilor Zadi.
Here.
Halter.
Here.
Batolo.
Here.
West.
Here.
Hickerson.
Here.
Savage.
Here.
Robinson.
Here.
Demas.
Here.
Mayor Como.
Here. First off, I'd like to welcome Troop 86 with us here in the back. Welcome to our meeting and for doing your civic duties. And keep in mind the petition section. If by any means whatsoever, any one of you have an answer to the ambulance issue that we're going to deal with, bring it forward. With that, councilors, first order of business, I would entertain an approval of the minutes from the City Council meeting held February 16th, 2021.
Your Honor.
Councilman Batolo?
So moved.
We do have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this brings us down to the appointments section of our agenda, councilors. And item number one, Mr. President, members of the council, I submit to you the name of Bill Ersbalmer to fill the unexpired term on the Sweetwater Joint Powers Combined Communication Board.
Council, you have before you the name of Bill Ersbalmer to fill the unexpired term for the Joint Powers Combined Communications Board. Can I get a motion
So moved, Mr. President.
and a second?
Second.
And roll call, please.
Councilor Halter.
Abstain?
Batolo.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
Hickerson.
Yes.
Savage.
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Demas.
Yes.
Zadi.
Yes. Mayor, you have your appointment.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Mr. President, members of the council, I submit to you the name of Corey Gardner to serve first term Sweetwater Joint Travel and Tourism Board.
And Council, you have before you the name Corey Gardner to serve first term Sweetwater Joint Travel and Tourism Board. Can I get a motion for approval?
Your Honor, so moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
And roll call, please.
Councilor Batolo.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
Hickerson.
Yes.
Savage.
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Demas.
Yes.
Zadi.
Yes.
Halter.
Yes.
Mayor, you have your appointment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, members of the council, I submit to you the name of John Edens to serve first term Rock Springs Transportation Committee.
Council, you have before you the name John Edens for first term Rock Springs Transportation Committee. Can I get a motion for approval?
Mr. President,
Yes.
so moved.
And can I get a second?
Second.
And roll call, please.
Councilor West.
Yes.
Hickerson.
Yes.
Savage.
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Demas.
Yes.
Zadi.
Yes.
Halter.
Yes.
Batolo.
Yes.
And Mayor, you have your appointment.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. This is going to take us on to the presentations and proclamations. In item number one, we have the Arts Month proclamation for March 2021. And I'm going to read the proclamation, and the proclamation reads, whereas Downtown Rock Springs, the Community Fine Arts Center, and all other local cultural organizations under the Sweetwater Arts Partnership have come together to promote the arts in our community. And the arts and humanities embody much of the accumulated wisdom, intellect, and imagination of humankind. And the arts and humanities enhance and enrich the lives of everyone in our community. And the arts and humanities play a unique role in the lives of our families, our communities, and our country. And our local organizations have celebrated the value and importance of culture in the lives of our citizens by sponsoring exhibits, concerts, and performances. And the arts and culture industry also strengthens our economy by generating $3.8 million in total economic activity annually, $82,700 in cultural nonprofit revenue, and by supporting the full-time equivalent of 238 total creative jobs in Rock Springs. And now there be it resolved that I, Timothy A. Como, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby declare March 2021 to be the Arts Month in Rock Springs, Wyoming, and I call upon our community members to celebrate and promote the arts and cultures in our town, and to specifically encourage the greater participation by those said community members in taking action for the arts and humanities in our community. And hopefully we have a lively spring and summer coming up. We went through a year where we had to put a lot of our arts and performances on hold, but it looks like it's lining up to be an exciting year. So get out, participate, and just get an idea of how many talented individuals we have right here in our own community. And I don't think we have anybody here to take this, so we'll get this to Chad if we could. Item number 2, Commissioner Smith is at the Green River City Council meeting, and we're going to put that on hold until later on in our agenda when he arrives. And the next item on our agenda would be the petition section of our agenda, where I ask anyone in the audience if they have anything, any item they wish to bring before this city council. Now is your time to do so. If you have a question or an issue, please come up to the podium, state your name for the record, and let us know what you have going on. Troop 86? No? This is part of your homework, right? No. Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close the petitions section of our agenda and move on to the council, committee, and board reports. First off, not noted on there, just a reminder, and Councilman Savage or Chief Pacheco, maybe you can give us a rundown on the Jackalope Jump, March 20th.
Your Honor, Councilors, I just wanted to remind you that we are having the second annual Jackalope Jump at the Wataha Complex on March 20th. And the Jackalope Jump, for those that do not know, it's part of the law enforcement torch run. It's a Special Olympics it's a fundraiser by law enforcement for Special Olympics, those with intellectual disabilities. And last year, we were able to raise $12,000. And this year, our goal is $10,000, but we're hoping to exceed 12. If you'd like to participate, you can sign your team up online, Special Olympics Wyoming. We ask for $100 per pledge per person that jumps and plunges into the icy cold water. Hopefully there's ice then. If not, we'll jump into the water there at the first pond when you go into the Wataha. We're going to have music. We'll have a food truck out there. And it's a nice festival. We'll actually start jumping at 12 o'clock noon, but we'll start registering at 10 o'clock, but you can get a jump on it online. So.
Yeah, Your Honor.
Councilman Savage?
So I put a team together. I have BOCES is our sponsor. So if any of you guys, gals, want to jump with us, I'd be glad to have you on our team.
I'm going to go have you sign up the entire council minus the mayor.
Done.
Troop 86, are you familiar with this? If there's ice there, they literally cut through the ice and jump in this water. I think you should be there. This is really an eye-opener, literally an eye-opener.
You guys went camping last weekend.
Nice. Right on.
That was a tough weekend.
We can't wait to camp. Okay, everybody out there in live stream land, Jackalope Jump, March 20th. Sign up at 10, start jumping at noon. Okay, thank you very much. Councilors, other items we have under council committee and board reports. Number 1, the Main Street Board meeting minutes of February 8th, 2021. 2, the Joint Powers Telecom Board meeting minutes of January 19, 2021. And item 3, the Joint Powers Combined Communication Board meeting minutes of January 25th, 2001. I'd entertain a motion to approve all the council committee and board reports and place on file.
So moved.
We do have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this is going to bring us on to the correspondence. Counselors, if you've had time to take a look at the correspondence, unless there's questions, I would entertain a motion to approve all correspondence and place on file.
So moved, Your Honor.
We do have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, this could bring us to the bills and claims section of our agenda. Counselors, item number 1, the bills and claims for March 2nd, 2021.
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demus.
I make a motion to approve the bills and claims for March 2nd, 2021.
Councilors, we do have a motion to approve the bills and claims for March 2nd, 2021. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstained.
Let the record show. Item number 2, the salaries for February 22nd, 2021.
So, Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demus.
I make a motion to approve the salaries for February 22nd, 2021.
Councilors, we do have a motion to approve the salaries for February 22nd, 2021. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on to new business. Item number 1, we have the request from the Health Insurance Committee to extend the temporary telemedicine benefit for the city's health insurance plan to December 31st, 2021. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman West,
move to approve this request.
we have a motion to honor this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 2 is a request from the Department of Engineering and Operations and Public Services for permission to bid the 2021 weed mitigation project. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Batolo,
I move to approve this request.
we do have a motion to honor this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 3 is a request from the Rock Springs Chamber of Commerce for permission to host a show and shine car show at the Chamber Park and parking lot on September 18th, 2021, and to allow cars to park on the grassed areas in front of the Chamber building during the event. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demus?
I make a motion to approve this request.
Councilors, we do have a motion to approve this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And item number 4, a request from Jonathan Crawford for a malt beverage permit for the UFC live stream on March 6th, 2021 from 4 p.m. to 11:59 p.m. at the Star Stadium 11 Theaters. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman West?
move to approve this request.
We do have a motion to honor this request also. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're going to move on to the resolution section of our agenda. Councilors, we have 3 resolutions. First one being Resolution 2021-30.
Sorry, my resolution's a little out of order.
I mixed them up for you, so,
We're going to blame Sandy.
right. Yeah.
All right, sorry about that. A resolution accepting and approving a memorandum of understanding between the Rock Springs Police Department and the Sweetwater Events Complex, and authorizing Timothy A. Como as mayor of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Dwayne Pacheco, chief of police, Rock Springs Police Department, to execute said memorandum of understanding on behalf of said city.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demus?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2021-30.
Councilors, we do have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-30. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Counselor Hickerson,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Demus,
yes,
Zadi,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Patolo,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Item number 2, Resolution 2021-31.
A resolution accepting and approving a concession stand rental agreement with Jerry's Concessions and authorizing Timothy A. Como as mayor of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said agreement on behalf of said city.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Patolo?
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2021-31.
Councilors, we do have an approval request for Resolution 2021-31. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Counselor Savage.
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Demus,
yes,
Zadi,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Patolo,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Item number 3, Resolution 2021-32.
A resolution accepting and approving a contract with Homax Oil Sales, Inc. in the amount of $218,860 and authorizing Timothy A. Como as mayor and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk to execute said contract on behalf of the city of Rock Springs.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor.
Councilwoman Demus?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2021-32.
We do have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-32. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Counselor Robinson,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes,
Zadi,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. One item I'd like to bring to the attention of everyone, including the public, is a new tool that the city of Rock Springs has brought forward to get input from our community. This new tool is called Flash Vote. FLASHVOTE, Flash Vote. It's actually right along from our CityBot tool, which sends out messages to the community for you to take a survey, rate priorities in your community. Please, if you get a chance and you see the message out there, and you'll see it on our city Facebook page, Sweetwater Now, YO4 News, probably the Rocket Miner Online, sign up for Flash Vote. What you'll be receiving in the very near future is critical questions that we would like to have your input from the community in regards to services, recreation, budget, just all those things that are critical for this governing body to make decisions as we go through our budget workshop and try to balance out our budget. We know that the last couple of years and going into the next probably couple of years, we're going to have to make cuts. So it's extremely important for you as a community to chime in and voice your concerns or priorities when it comes to the decisions that are being made in your behalf. I don't know, councilors, if you have any more you want to add to that, but it is not a scam, and it is not a I don't know what you want to say. It's for real. So I just wanted to add that to the community and make sure that everybody knows that that's coming forward. It's already out there. You're going to sign up right away. It's going to ask you to take a survey. The questions that you're going to see on the survey are not the city's questions. Those are the questions that are basically coming from Flash Vote. They get an idea of what they've asked in other communities. But when you do take the survey and answer the questions moving forward, they're going to be linked with a our GIS system, so it'll be able to track where you live and provide that information, whether it's by ward, precinct, or whatever it may be, city, county, wherever you live. So please take the time to take the survey and give your input as we move forward with that. And at this time, I'd like to back up and welcome Commissioners Jeff Smith, and I believe Randy Wendling, Mr. Chairman, are here with us today, and they're going to give us a rundown on the ambulance committee updates and answer questions that we may have. Please come on down, gentlemen, and I'll turn the mic over to you, and we can move in that direction.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate the help there. Love the mask.
Is that mic on, Commissioner?
It is.
Okay.
Would you
Thank
like
you.
this better? Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
I do have a letter to distribute amongst the board. Mr. Mayor and City Council, appreciate your time, allowing us to come and visit you today, and are appreciative of the work that you do. Especially grateful for my counterpart, Tim Robinson, on the ambulance committee that the intergovernmental committee has formed, and he's done a lot of great work, and we're very appreciative of him. So I'm here today to present to you the proposal from the Board of County Commissioners, as well as answer questions that you may have. As I'm sure you're aware, our ambulance service is struggling, difficulties in finances, and the ask to continue that service continues to increase every year. As a little history, there's a number of years when the ambulance service was subsidized by the county, and then it went away for a number of years. And somewhere along the line, before my time, some wise county commissioners decided that it was okay to once again subsidize the ambulance service. And since then, it has continued to grow and grow exponentially. To this year, as a matter of fact, the ask increased by 36% from Sweetwater Medics to a total of $944,000, roughly $77,000 a month subsidy. That is untenable, and it's not something that the county can continue to pay. We have continued to seek alternatives, a solution. We have formed this committee and worked through ideas. None of them are going to be happening very quickly. So as the County Commission has terminated its contract with both Castle Rock and Sweetwater Medics effective March 31st, we are looking to find a partner to help us to continue ambulance service while a solution is found long-term. We do understand the constraints that you're under budget-wise. We are under the same at the county. This is difficult with the pandemic, the downturn in the economy, so many things going on. So we do understand that. The proposal is a 50-50 split between the county and the two cities, and then that 50% to the cities would be divided 2/3 Rock Springs, 1/3 Green River. Although we just visited Green River, and Councilman Sherry Bushman gave us a little bit different number. And with a little bit different math, but
I'm sure they were most likely, Commissioner, wanting to pay more.
exactly wrong. Yes, so you guessed it correctly. Their number came out lower, and yours came out higher. So I guess that is to be worked out still a little bit. But our proposal from the County Commission is 2/3, 1/3 split, and we feel that that's equitable. As a show of the best that we can do to continue that. We understand that this is a budget year that you're already in. You have not budgeted for this. And so if there is an agreement to start funding in the next budget cycle in July, on July 1st, then the county is willing to continue to the service and the subsidies through that day, through June 30th, alone with no help. But that is only if we have a commitment that there is finances coming from elsewhere. And I brought it up to Green River that if you said no and they decided to do the entire 50%, that would be fine with us as well. So we're not picky where the money comes from. We don't mind. But we do need the other 50% to come from somewhere else besides the county. And so that's our effort to show good faith and to try to be good partners in this and understand that you're under constraints that perhaps are out of your control here in this budget cycle. And we would ask for your consideration in the next budget cycle to make sure that this is a priority. If not, if we can't come to a resolution, then we have committed to discontinuing we've already terminated our contract, which will be effective March 31st in 4 weeks. And so that's the deadline that we're against, and I guess I would stand for any questions.
Counselors?
Your Honor.
Counselor West, was it?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Smith, so what if neither agree to this? What's the county's plan? Neither being Green River or Rock Springs.
If there's not 50% matching with our 50%, we will not be continuing on.
Well, I understand that, but so then
Well, then that means in Rock Springs, that means Sweetwater Medics has told us that they will stop answering 911 calls on April 1st without subsidy. And Green River, they're going to be able to continue on. Castle Rock has the funds to continue on for some number of months, but they would also need funding eventually. But Sweetwater Medics has said that Ron Gaddy and Steve Corbellis are not going to personally pay to fund the ambulance service. And that was the word. So that is our word as well. We will not be able to continue to pay, and there will not be ambulance service April 1st.
So we'll just be without in that regard.
Yes.
Has there been any discussion about alternatives?
Many. There have been many, yes. And
I mean, I realize there's a committee and
none of them are quick. And that's really the thing. Anything to I'm not sure that this is ever going to make money, but the way to save money and make it less expensive from all of the studies that we've received and done is consolidation. There just aren't enough calls in this area to have two entities running. And so consolidation, making it all one, that will help. It probably still won't break even. It'll probably still need subsidy, but less so. So there's not overlapping of management, overlapping of the number of ambulances and the employees. So that's what we're working towards. We've talked about a number of different options. I've been working on this for about 2 years. I got it March of 2 years ago, and man, I was going to have it wrapped up in August of that year, and here I am. So I guess I'm not doing a very good job. So that's really that's what we're working towards, and this is the short term. This would be the short-term solution. Something that I would like to see is a special district formed for ambulance so that we don't have to continually try to work through county commissioners as they rotate through or council members as they rotate through, and perhaps these 2 years it's great and we're going to fund you, and the next 2 years we're not, and back and forth, back and forth. Whether that happens or not, I don't know, but the earliest that could be on the ballot, according to our council, is November of 2022. And then even after that, if that were to pass, then there's still some number of months before it could really take effect.
You sought bids from other companies?
We have. We put out an RFI last year, excuse me, and received 4 bids back. All of them were similar in the $1.2 to $1.7 million a year subsidy range.
Your Honor, I've got some questions.
Counselor?
Can I finish, Your Honor?
Oh,
I just had a couple more, if you don't mind, Counselor Zoe. I didn't
Counselor
mean
West?
that in a snappy way. It's just difficult for us, and I understand that, we're all in this together, and we all have the similar budget constraints that we're being faced with. It's an important service. I mean, we have to have it, clearly. But, from our standpoint, it feels like we're kind of being backed into a corner. The biggest issue is, Year to date, as we just found out tonight, we're 20% behind last year, and last year we were 12% behind. You know, we're all offering incentive programs. We're asking outside agencies to cut 30%. Some of the departments are restructuring, you know, their seasonal help and what have you. And then we have this request for $400,000, and take it or leave it. It's a tough pill to swallow, and I don't know that you're going to see much support for that. So,
Councilor West, I can tell you that that is exactly the feeling of the commission as well from Sweetwater Medics. This is the amount, take it or leave it. So we, as well as you are backed into a corner. And we're trying to be the good neighbors, trying to help you bridge the gap between a new budget cycle and come contribute with us. But we're in the same area, and what's the only remedy that we have? To cancel our contract with them, which we have done.
that's all I have for now.
Your Honor. It kind of bounces off of what Kate is saying, but we've had a study that was done 5 years ago that kind of indicated this is the direction we needed to go. You said that you've been working on this for 2 years. We haven't gotten anywhere. Now all of a sudden we do a, in my opinion, knee-jerk response and say we're going to cut the contract and now back everybody in a corner and say pay up or we're going to lose the ambulance service, and then cloak that into a good faith effort on your part to, yeah, we'll pay from April to July, but so it's really putting us in a bad spot. One, the study was done 5 years ago and nothing was done with it. In my talks with some members of medics, they've been kind of wanting and have something to move along and do because they see that there's a need and that the tax district would be the way to go. But here we sat, and now we're sitting here, backs against the wall, being threatened that we're going to lose a service if we don't pay up in a time where we don't have any money. Does not sit well with me at all. I just really struggle with that, and that's, I just, sitting up here, I have to share my thoughts on that.
Sure, certainly. I can respond to that by saying I wasn't here 5 years ago or on the commission 5 years ago when the original study was done. Unfortunately, the recommendations that were made then were not implemented. Most of them were directed at medics and also somewhat at Castle Rock. This is how you can run a little bit better business to make things viable. Those were not taken. We did that. We contacted the same group, had them conduct the same study again in 2019. That's when I became aware that they came back with the same recommendations. And I asked, why wasn't this done 5 years ago when you originally got the recommendations? And there isn't a good answer. Again, I will share. We are backed against the wall as well, and we're looking at the same issues that you are. And so as a commission, we are trying our best to do the same that you are, which is spend money wisely. We've asked for cuts. We didn't approve workers today that were presented to us for approval. And, I feel as though we're in the same boat. We're paddling together. And I apologize if it feels as though it's an ambush. It's not meant to be that way. It is something that just needs to get attention, and we cannot continue to do it. So that is why we had to cancel our contract and look for another way to go forward.
Commissioner, Mr. President, were you done?
Yeah, I am.
Commissioner, first off, let me just say I have a lot of respect for both of you. Don't take this personal.
Sure.
Personal. I've been stewing over this, as Mr. Chairman knows, for quite some time when I received the letter. But after watching the commissioners' meeting today, Commissioner Smith, you stated that in a gesture of good faith, the commission would continue to fund this if we were working towards a resolution. A gesture of good faith, I view this as a gesture of betrayal. And this is my concern. I don't understand. I understand the problem because we've been here. We know every year the ambulance came before the city council and requested more money, more money, more money. I see the proposal by Castle Rock, and I see the same problem happening. I don't think they could handle that. I don't even know if they could serve outside their district, but they come up with a price that, to me, says almost immediately they're going to come back to government and want more money, more money, more money. So what I'm saying is, I don't see this solving the problem just by throwing money at it. And as you heard from Councilor West, just receiving our most recent sales tax monies, I believe my grandmother used to say, you can't get blood from a turnip. You can't. We're having some serious discussions about cuts, and then you're looking for this governing body to come up with $426,528. And to me, that is just not going to work. You know, we cancel the contract. We then put ourselves into a deadline at the end of the month, and then an ultimatum given to the cities to come up with this funding at a time when I'm sure you understand we all, including yourself, are considering very heavy cuts. It's not a good time. It's sad. It's sad for me as the mayor of this community to have seen this service year after year after year, which in my opinion should be a private entity, not be able to come up, not be able to be profitable. I look at the numbers that have been provided to us by the committee and the great information Councilman Robinson has provided to this governing body, and I ask just one critical question every time. What exactly does it take to run an ambulance service? And from all the information that we see right now that's been provided, we have no idea. Because every time we think we have an idea, the next year it's another $250,000. Next year it's another $200,000. Next year it's another $150,000. What exactly does it take to run an ambulance service for our communities? And we're still not there. I just I want to work towards a solution. I think at any given time in the past history of the county commission and the city of Rock Springs and Green River, we have really good people that can work together and get things done. I think you're absolutely correct in looking towards a district to come up with a way to pay this. And on top of that, we're going to have that same discussion when it comes to combined communications, because we have two issues now. We have an ambulance service that really needs to be funded, that we can't do without. And then we have combined communication that we're all in the same pot again. So why not consider a public safety district that we could all join forces and possibly create a levy or a revenue stream that would pay for that. Now, the combined communication, the county's paying 25%. The city of Rock Springs is paying 43%, and the city of Green River is paying 32%. Your request here for ambulance is 50% county, 33 roughly for Rock Springs, and 16 for Green River. We always have this conversation, and this is one and the same, or where are the calls being made? It's the same for combined communication. Where are the calls? How does Rock Springs not sit in the county? How does Green River not sit in the county? And where does the county come in when it comes to calls? I think if we could address a public safety district for those two entities and realize that we're all in this together and consider 33, 33, 33 type of a split, that's what really probably needs to happen so we can provide the services that this entire county needs. Just my 2 cents. And like I said, I don't want you to take that personally, but after stewing on this for quite some time and receiving the letter, I still don't know why we canceled the contract when we didn't have a resolution in place to fix this. That being said, it's hard to fix. We've been there. We know what you're up against. We understand why you moved in that direction to terminate contracts, but I still think we should have given ourselves a little bit more time other than having a drop-dead date of we have to answer this by the end of the month, especially in these economic times. Just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There were a couple of reasons we did that on advice of council, and I probably shouldn't share those, I guess, but it was well thought. I mean, it was not a knee-jerk reaction. It was not taken lightly. It was calculated and certainly done with legal ramifications in mind as well.
Well, just my thoughts. You know, my biggest concern is, and you both are well know, we have a lot of people based on the decrease in revenue coming from the state. Our legislators telling us to get out there and plow snow on our own and create a path on our own and don't depend on the state, which, why should we depend on the state? We're only sitting in southwest Wyoming, one of the richest revenue states in mineral excavation in the state. Why should we depend on receiving money back from the state? Well, because we give a lot of money back to the state. But those monies aren't there, and I think K through 12 is really going to be that anchor that drives everyone down because they're so far behind we'll never catch up. That being said, we have discussions with the 6 penny tax. We now have discussions with the 7th penny tax, which we were led to believe that a couple of communities in the state have already tried this. Why don't we try it? We looked into trying that. Guess what? Nobody's tried that. The state don't even have a method to calculate what that tax would collect. So we're going to be a guinea pig. So we got the 6th cent, we got the 7th cent, we got a mill levy proposal for the airport. We most likely will have a mill levy proposed for something like public safety district, something like that. We're going to have a lot of people lining up on a ballot at a time when the economy's tanked and asking our residents to pay a little bit more. In my opinion, and you don't know how this will go, I think we're very blessed to have a low tax base in our state. I think people will agree that it's worth paying a little bit more to have those nice things in their community, such as ambulance. Not even a nice thing.
I hope so.
It's something that you're employed as the director of Deer Trail. I would imagine that ambulance shows up there just based on age-wise, probably quite a bit.
Quite a bit. Love Ron and Steve if they show up. I'm happy to see them.
So it's a bit
Tickled pink.
nerve-wracking
Yeah.
to know how this is going to pan out. But my biggest concern is if you dip your toe into that pool, you might as well jump in because there's no way to get a little bit wet. So when we're asked to come up with $426,000, that's dipping in our toe. At that point, as I've stated before, with authority comes responsibility. And right now we don't have any authority. Therefore, I don't think that we have much of a responsibility, but we do have a responsibility to work together to try to find a way through this. And it's only my opinion, but I can tell you that based on what I see, it's going to have to be a district to come up with these funds. But the problem still has to be fixed. Mm-hmm. What does it take to run an ambulance service? And with all the meetings that we have in consolidating efforts and saving taxpayers' dollars, do we need 2? Do we need 3? Can we do it with 1? And again, what exactly is the cost? I've been through numbers till I'm just red-faced trying to find out what exactly does it take. If we can write off that amount of money through Sweetwater Medics and still do business through these years, maybe it just takes what they're collecting to run a business. Well, obviously not, because they keep coming back every year. So what's the number? So we'd have to know that in order to know what we were going to collect for the tax. But I think that's the way to go. I believe the city council would continue their efforts to work in that respect, because there's going to be marketing, there's going to be a campaign, there's going to be information, educational information that needs to go out to the community, explaining to them why we're doing this. But it is, you're right, it is a mess, and we've been there. I want to say most of my gray hair had to do with the ambulance service. Keep in mind that most of the ambulance at that time, most of the employed EMS employees for the ambulance were trained by funds from the city of Rock Springs. We pretty much paid for all that training, and
That's
here
true.
we are.
Yeah.
So,
Your Honor, I'm sorry, don't mean to interrupt. I wanted to try to hop in here real quick.
yeah, Councilor Robinson, go ahead.
First off, there is a solution for gray hair.
Attaboy.
Doc Windling knows the solution as well as I do. So I'm relatively new to this ambulance stuff. In the last month or so, what I have found is the more questions we ask, or the more answers we get, the more questions we have.
Right.
There are a lot of numbers. I will say that I did invite reps from both Castle Rock and Sweetwater Medics to be here tomorrow night for the big show, because I'm guessing this topic will also be discussed there. There is no immediate short-term solution, but I would agree with the commissioner that the long-term solution is a district, whether it be a emergency services or ambulance district, to try to fund it that way. But a couple things I want the public to understand is that there is no mandate for EMS in the state of Wyoming. And when you look at this problem, it's not that the county has to do it, the city has to do it. Neither are required to. It's different than fire. It's different than law enforcement. So I want them to keep that into consideration come November of '22, that money has to come from somewhere to be able to fund these types of projects. And when you look at a 6-cent or a 7-cent or a mill levy, a lot of people don't want to be taxed more, but this is a service that I consider essential. And I think everybody on the commission, and probably everybody in this room considers it essential. But you said it best, you can't bleed a turnip. And we've got to come up with a way to come up with a temporary solution to get us to the long-term solution, which I think we all agree on. It's just that short-term that we're bumping into some resistance. So.
Very well said. My biggest concern is if we're going to fix one problem, let's fix as many problems as we can fix. And I know the next issue we're going to have with discussion is going to be combined communication. I know our representation on that board. I have conversations with them all the time about that. Their costs are state of the art. It costs money. How it's split up, I don't think any of us agree with, and it's going to become a problem. I can tell you that we've asked each and every one of these department heads to come up with a 30% reduction in their budget. It's hard to digest that when we're looking at 30% reductions, which could cost people, and then having to turn around and shell out $430,000 towards a service, which I agree is an essential service, but it still doesn't. It doesn't fix the problem.
I'd invite you to come to our side then and ask the county for 30% cuts and come up with 1.2 million.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
Yeah.
So again, we're in the same boat.
I don't disagree, but I'm willing to work towards a resolution. Like I said, I think we need to consider a public safety district. And when it comes to essential services, which is ambulance and communication, they go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. We need to find a way and educate the public in knowing that these are essential and vital services, and that everybody is going to be tasked with paying a little bit more if we want to have those. Our issues, as you well know, the city of Rock Springs, we've had this discussion before. Do we take on ambulance? In my opinion, I thought the hospital, it would fit well with the hospital. It just seemed to make sense, but it sounds like there were some issues there. But we've had those considerations, but then the city of Rock Springs had to increase staff. We had to buy ambulances. We would have to have places to house ambulances. We have to have a permit to transport. All those things go along with that. I like the idea of keeping it in the private sector, but obviously that hasn't proven well at this point.
Private sector with public money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Councilors, any other comments for the commissioner?
I do.
Councilman Savage.
Thank you. I wanted to get your opinion on a couple of things. I have a question.
Sure.
To me, this doesn't seem like this is a local problem. Healthcare is an issue everywhere, and ambulance service doesn't seem to be a very profitable business because such a large portion of the bills are unpaid. People can't pay or won't pay. Do you feel that's correct? That this is a national issue, not just a local issue?
Absolutely, certainly throughout Wyoming with our sparse population.
Yeah,
as I've
that's right. We
investigated,
have a small
huge problem,
population.
Huge problem.
And then the way this was done, speaking for myself, this has eroded my trust and my relationship with you, with the county. What's the next shoe to drop? I would be very careful, very cautious with our legal department if we were to go into a contract with the county again. And the second thing, I don't know how many years Sweetwater Medics has been doing this, but those people aren't paid very well. They've dedicated their lives to saving us from stupid things that we do and the problems that we have. And they're the pawns in this. They're 3 weeks away from being unemployed with the way this was put together. And I really appreciate everything that they've done over the years. It's really remarkable. And then my question was, to me, it would make sense for the hospital to do this. They have a billing department. They know how to do that. They know how to collect from people. They would have tax advantages. They would have abilities to, and I'm just wondering, whatever happened with the hospital not being in charge of this?
Sure. I can speak for Irene and Taylor, I think, as CEO and president of the board, that at the time when it was proposed, the ask from Sweetwater Medics was well over $1 million. So they wanted well over $1 million to purchase a business that still needed more than about $1 million a year to run. So pay us $1 million. So I'll ask all of you, here's your proposal, pay us $1 million, and then next year you can pay us another $1 million. And then we're gonna need money all the time. So why would you pay the $1 million to take over a business that is losing $1 million?
Why would you have to take it over?
That was the proposal.
But if the contract is ending, why would you have to pay Sweetwater Medics?
Now we don't. At the time,
right,
we would have.
But that's not a really good answer then, is it? The hospital can't do it because they don't have to pay $1 million?
Say that again.
I think what Councilor Savage is saying here is forget paying the $1 million to the business that wants to sell. Just start the ambulance service and pay what it costs to run the ambulance service.
And that conversation is being had currently, but that does not get us
from where we are
the
to
trouble
where
we're in right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And so that is one of the long-term solutions that we're looking at, among many others.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think they all have done
they've
all done a fantastic job. I mean, I see them, they're dedicated individuals. When you look at the numbers based on what they're billing and what they're collecting, therein lies a serious problem.
Absolutely.
It's obviously not a short disconnect, and I don't know how Medicare, Medicaid fits into that, or just why they can't collect and why they have to write off. Is it just bad debt or whatever it may be? But that in itself is a very serious problem when you're collecting, I don't know, maybe between 25 and 40% of what you're billed.
16,
I see.
And perhaps that's even a little inflated.
Yeah, so.
And that's an issue when the hospital or Castle Rock collects over 60%. And so therein lies another of our issues.
Right.
And if we're not allowed to ask for an audit, it's a private company.
Now, the other entity that actually gave the bid, and I believe it was like upwards of 1.7?
1.4.
1.2
to 1.4 AMR.
AMR.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's their story? Can you bring us up to light on just what their story is? They're fairly large.
Huge, largest in the world. Well, they're part of the largest in the world. They're a division of it. And their proposal to us was roughly $1.2 million a year. One nice thing that they did that I asked for was if they made a profit over X percent, would they be willing to reduce the subsidy? Because we didn't want them, or anybody, I asked this of everybody that gave us a proposal. You don't need to make 20% profit when we're subsidizing it. And they were willing to give it back, or cap their profit at a certain level. They are working with Fremont County now. They gave notice. They've been 5 years with Fremont County. They gave notice that they are renegotiating the new contract at $1.5 million. So it's roughly the same
game.
same place that we're at already. The ground service for ambulances is really rough. The money's in the air, and they have both, and that's why they're huge like they are. At least that's what I can tell. If we were to accept their proposal here, they wouldn't necessarily have the air that's currently with University of Utah, although there are indications where they would like to be able to take that over in time, because that's where the money is.
Your Honor, if I could, so we're talking about medics a lot, but then when you point out AMR, they're wanting 1.2 to 1.4, so it is not just anyone's service, it's a problem. As you had said, it's all over. I mean, it's just a money loser altogether. So no matter what we do in this situation, we're going to end up subsidizing.
Correct.
And that's where the tax district makes most sense.
It does.
I agree with that. Oh, that's true.
My question is, in a situation even with the tax district, and you generate X amount of dollars to pay for, say, ambulance, and then the same thing, do they come back the next year and need more money? This is what I'm saying. This is really the benchmark of what we need to find out here is what's realistic to run an ambulance service for a community, a county our size. And then you can have those discussions, whether it's cost of living or whatever it may be, that's one thing. But, when you start generating a levy to create revenue in that respect, you maximize that, and then we're going to be back playing the same game, I think. But I think the answer is if we're going to fix ambulance, by gosh, let's fix combined communication, because that's the next one. Mr. Chairman? Hey, Doc, you're gonna have, everybody at home is gonna think we're speaking to the wall if you don't. But I'll see they worked you over a little bit before you got.
All right, thank you. Mayor, council members, and
City of Green River was a little rough.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. Nobody's going to disagree with anything that's been said. Commissioner Smith and we spent a lot of time. We went out with the RFI, and it's fair enough to talk about it because it wasn't accepted. Level of service was discussed, whether it's a high end. Two outfits come back and said, hey, we can provide service at a safe level, reasonable level. One outfit comes in and says, no, we're going to do the max, and if you don't like it, that's the way it is. And that was your 1.7. So when we worked through the RFI, and I would invite any one of you to sit with Marty out of purchasing.
Durnovich.
And just kind of talk to her and see how it went, see, the insight of it. But what we found out is the uniqueness of our demographics. Maybe we should be thankful that there aren't that many people that need ambulance service because it doesn't pay for itself. They need a subsidy. So that's the plus side of it. But the other side of it is we worked through that RFI, and the costs are going up, and heavily, and we shared that with you. But it was anywhere from a range of 1.2 for 5 years, a year for 5 years, all the way up to 1.7 for 5 years. And I think one of them might have been 1.99, something like that. So, we felt working through that RFI, Mayor, we pretty well had a cost on what it would cost, but we also knew because of demographics, location, where to locate the equipment stuff, it wasn't feasible. There was going to have to be some shared costs. So I think we may have a better handle on it than we think, but in the short term, very short term, which is, I appreciate everybody stepping forward and coming together with the joint intergovernmental leadership. These are things that are put together probably a year late, but still in need. I don't care how late it is. And the desire to come together and work and build relationships and build bridges. So as Commissioner Savage says, you know, I'd like to think it the other way. We're still got a ways to go before we get back to maybe where we should be as leaders in this county, as councils, towns, and cities, to where we can trust one another. But I get it. You got to earn it. You just don't get it. It's just like a school. Dave, Keaton, Larry, you walked in there and you knew those adults had to earn your trust and that type of thing, or you had to earn theirs. It works both ways. So it's still the same thing in this world. But going back to the ambulance and that type of thing, yeah, we've got to work on that. Councilman Robinson's right. We've got an immediate, as long with Commissioner Smith, we've got an immediate issue. And I know we brought you a letter, and I've sat back and I've kind of listened, and I get it. I know where you're coming from, and you should feel the way you should feel. I'm telling you what, there's no greater, worse feeling than to have somebody walk into your council chambers and walk in and say, hey, we need to increase this contract after it's already been signed for 5 years because we can't make ends meet, and here's what we got to have, and if we don't have it, we're going to close the doors. That's just the rough side of it for all of us. Okay, we get it. The services are important, so we'll continue to work with it over the last 5 years, and we continue to work with the hospital with the plan everybody talked about, and I think Commissioner Smith did a real good job with that. But at the same token, you know, enough's enough. Enough is enough. Your money comes out of your general fund for these services, for many of them, as ours do. We all know why that's dwindling. We know assessments is down. We know everything along that line. So your mill levy is dropping as you have to fund all these other things. And of course, going back to Mayor Como, he's exactly right, long-term solution. And it may be special districts, it may be, I guess I'll just use that word because that's best in our arena, because a special district puts something on the initiative on the ballot, and you go to the people and you say, hey, do you want the services or don't you? If you want them, here's how they got to get paid for. But then we protect our general fund so you don't have to lay people off in the council, in the city, as well as Green River, as well as Rock Springs. I don't have the answer for the ratios. I inherited those when I came on as commissioner, as you did as council people. But you know what? I don't believe it has to be that way. I believe that with the right leadership and the right people involved, that even those are up for conversation, and the right people will come up with the right answers. Because I believe the leadership is right for all of us to come together and not just let one out there to solve the problem, but work together. Councilman Robinson's right. Short term is immediate, as Commissioner Smith has said. Immediate. I think Commissioner Smith did say, hey, you know what? If we knew that we could work towards the next fiscal period of something working out, I believe you committed the county to carry the ball until June 30th. But I'm going to rest assure you the problem doesn't stop June 30th. We still have an intermediate problem, because as much as you talk about all the special districts and those types of things, and you talk about what's happening at the state, and if they do any mandated sales tax, which they could do, it's an easy way to fund things that they're looking for money for. And then, of course, we have other special districts that are approved. You know, all those are mill levies, and they go out to the people. And you want a 6 penny, and you want a municipal tax. My question is, you know what? I agree, we need all those things. Well, that's a statement. My question becomes, can we get them all done at the same time? Will the people in this county go through that many initiatives? I really believe the long plan for the county, and when I say the county, I'm talking 2 cities, 4 towns, and how many thousand square miles? It's through economic development to diversify. And we've been handed it to us, and we need to. And I tell you what, I see some things on the horizon for Sweetwater County that are going to help with that. But we can't lose that economic development, that diversity, for the purpose of, hey, how are we going to fund something else? We gotta pick those things out. So I don't have a plan. All I know is when all of those initiatives are to be put on the ballot, the commissioners have the final say-so, I believe. And I'll clear that with our attorney, county attorney, before as we move in those directions. And that type of thing. And it's gonna be, how are we gonna do this? So going back to the ambulance. Short term, it's kind of laid out. And I think I agree with you. Nothing worse than, I feel like I was back in school, Tim. And a parent told me, hey, what'd you do this for? I'm going, well, I needed to, but I understand you wanted more warning. I get it. But at the same token, then after that becomes a short-term fix, and then the long-term. And I think, Mayor, you're talking long-term and permanent, and let's get it out of our hair. Sorry, we don't have any more gray hairs, but there's still that conversation in the short term. What about after?
My biggest concern is even if we go after a public safety district, whatever it may be, that obviously doesn't mean there's an open purse.
No.
And you know, it has to be controlled. We have to fix the problem.
We call it empire building when you give people open access to the checkbook. It's called empire building. And an assessed valuation on 3 mills, just for a power of a appointed board or elected board to throw that out whenever they want to. We need to watch that, Mayor, and we need to be careful as we move forward. But I still think our ultimate goal is just what you said, moving forward to a unified, you can call it whatever you want to, I'll leave it right there. But we got some things we need to fix in between steps. And yeah, we've carried the ball as a county, and I guess maybe, we've accepted that and we've been in a little better position, but we're all in the same boat now. I would only ask that you consider what the immediate short steps could do, if that means starting out at some point in time after new fiscal period and working on that with us to get it going. It'd be great if you could find some help right now, but we get it. But I don't think the work's done. I think we have to look at what's the intermediate plan. And I think if you have an opportunity to look at what we went out for requests for interest, I think you'll find it very interesting. And I think we can cap those dollars until we get to where we want to be or need to be. But again, too, one step at a time, and we want to work with you. And Commissioner Savage, I know I felt bad when you said, hey, what you did to the trust value with us, that kind of hurt, but I guess we deserved it. I'm a big boy. I mean, I'll wear it. I'll wear it, but it's not going to change one bit on what I think about the leadership in the city council or any place else.
Well, these are tough times. We all know. It's even more frustrating when there's a large percentage of our legislators who have basically put themselves in the mentality of no new taxes. I get that also, but take a look, and I've said it before, take a look at all those that are exempt from the sales tax. Big list of exempt from the sales tax. That's not a new tax. That's a tax that's been there forever, and items were taken off that and exempt from having to pay that tax. Well, that's our number one source of revenue.
And we've been promised all along as the distribution has deteriorated, they would find ways to maybe put some of those exempts in. They're not going to do it. I go right back to, I forget who the council person was. Oh, you did, Mayor. We got to make it happen. We're the ones that got to do it.
Yeah, well,
we got to do it together.
You can't just continue to cut yourself out of this hole. You have to look at new sources of revenue. And again, our community, I brought up a new tool we're using, Flash Vote, and that's what we're trying to get is public input, because people are going to have to chime in on whether they are going to support paying a little bit more for the services that we need here in this community, because you can't get blood from a turnip, and it's just feasibly impossible without trying to raise some revenue in some other aspect.
Two great questions. What's important to you, and how do you want to pay for it?
Right.
You tell me, then we'll work on it. Anyhow, I'm sorry, this was supposed to be Commissioner Smith's
Always happy for help.
presentation, but I just wanted to, I ventured some things there I thought I could add to it to help you out and provide some things. So with that, Mayor, council members, I'll give up the mic to Commissioner Smith. Thank you.
Well, I'm saying you must be able be a lot slower than Commissioner Smith, because obviously he got out of Green River's council chambers quicker than you did, and they worked you over, but
Even with the crutch.
even with a
Yeah.
crutch. Councilors, any other questions? Batolo?
Yes. First of all, thanks for all the hard work you guys have done on this. And Tim, thank you.
Thank you.
One of the things that I seen after a quick update before our meeting that we got tonight that is disturbing to me is I think there are some basic questions that Sweetwater Medics is not being, proprietary and confidential to our organization. Well, I believe when you're asking for public funds, that they should be as forthright as possible. And I understand competition, and I understand that kind of thing, but when you're asking for public funds, do you believe there's a good faith effort by them right now to want to continue servicing?
I think there's an absolutely good faith effort to want to continue service at this funding level or higher. Yes. I think that they would continue to do that.
Okay. Another question that I have, we talked earlier about combining efforts, and Castle Rock is, you said, in fairly decent shape for a while. And I don't know what a while means, but is there any way that we can combine Castle Rock and Sweetwater Medics in
Yep.
some joint effort at this point in time to get us through until a vote on a special district?
Yes. And that is one of the leading options that we have. It's one that I lean towards. I'd very much like that. But again, I am told by Castle Rock it's going to take them about 6 months to get that up and going. Procuring another ambulance, hiring staff, getting the billing down, contracts, that kind of thing. I said, come on, you can do it in 4 months, can't you? And she said maybe, but their conservative estimate was 6 months.
Okay.
So yes, I would, as you can see, and I don't, without Ron and Steve here, I don't want to disparage them, but you can see the numbers, and you can see the disparity that we have between different entities that are doing roughly the same thing, and it is very frustrating. I love to see them when they show up at Deer Trail. I'm happy to see them. They're awesome, wonderful medics. Great to have them.
Yeah.
I have had them tell me many times, we love to be medics, we're not great businessmen. And I think that it shows that. So
Yeah,
whatever the problem is along there.
They're stellar individuals. One of the questions that I had, or did you have anything else?
Yeah, I got one more.
Go ahead.
And I'm the new guy, so is there federal funds
No.
that can get us bridged until a vote for a special district?
There's not. We've
No
looked at
CARES
grants.
Act funds, nothing?
We've looked at grants and many other things, and there's not. The only thing that's going on right now that has passed is, here in the state, is that the state will collect a fee from ambulance providers, EMS services. They will match that with federal funds, so I guess there is federal help. They will match that with federal funds and then disperse that back. It's only approved, it's at $2 million for the entire state. There's roughly 60 ambulance services across the state. Many of them might not participate, but even if you had 40 or 50, dividing up your $2 million, it's something, but it's not going to be, it's certainly not bridging any gap for us.
Right, you heard of the CARES Act money. This would come from the Don't CARES Act money. One question I had, it seemed like we were waiting for a legal opinion whether Castle Rock could serve outside of their district. Has that been determined or not?
They feel as though, yes, that's not an issue. I mean,
Oh.
they already service, cover for medics, they cover each other. Transport to the hospital as well here in Rock Springs. None of those within their taxing district.
See, I guess I have a question too.
Councilman?
Because their bid is 935,000, but the big question there is they need assistance with capital. What's the cost there? There's no number. So we're roughly looking at the same amount for all these services. So we're saying that one's not doing their thing right, or one's doing one better. They're all got the same
And it all
bids.
costs the same, right?
It's all the same. So
Yeah.
that's got to tell us something there. 935, yeah, it's lower, but, okay, what's the service?
Well,
What are we needing for capital assistance? What are those costs?
a couple answers there. You say, so 935 is to take over the entire thing, so it is lower, 35% lower,
Except for the capital assistance.
except for the capital assistance. They didn't put a number on that. They would need 2 more ambulances. The county owns one, which we would happily chip in to the endeavor. They would need a building here and some kind of place to stage in between the two cities for an ambulance there.
It's my
That would be
understanding the
definitely-
county's going to have a new abandoned vehicle lot. There'll be some space
Maybe that's the
there.
place to hang out, right? We'll have some.
That was supposed to be
campers and
funny.
trailers and things like that.
May have wore out my jokes tonight.
Don't we have one ambulance that was funded through a grant? Seems like.
We do,
The county does.
Oh, that was your,
industrial setting.
gotcha.
yeah.
Okay,
We had it titled in the county's name, so that is the county's.
gotcha. Well, councilors, any other comments, suggestions? Write a check? I would have to, I just want to take a minute to thank the committee and especially Councilman Robinson. He's really been working his tail off.
He has been.
He has provided us an outstanding amount of information in his short term on this council and trying to make sense of it all. Still, as he said, the more he sends us, the more questions we seem to ask. He sends more, we ask more.
Absolutely.
And we just still haven't gotten down to that. But I give you my word, we will work towards a resolution of this, hopefully towards a district, and solve this, because I think ambulance, combined communication, these are essential services. I mean, how do you look at these two and not feel that a community this size doesn't require ambulance as a vital service? It's just something that we just can't. We're going to have to find a resolution, and I'm not sure exactly what that's going to be at this point, but we do appreciate the offer to continue funding this thing till we can get together and resolve something. We were slapped in the face today with sales tax again. We're going into our budget hearings and trying to find out just where we're going to end up here, but we're going to have to resolve this. And I think we all have cooler heads and very dedicated individuals that can work together to get this resolved.
May I close, Mr. Mayor, by saying, I apologize if it feels as though it's a little, a holdup or, getting backed in the corner. It's not what it's meant to be. I've been working on this a long time. The committee, and you have a representative on the committee, and he's agreed with what we're trying to accomplish here. And so I apologize if that's not the way it's meant to be. So, Tim, I hope we'll be friends again someday. And I sincerely, and I apologize, and Keaton as well, and Rob. No offense meant. We are all in tough times, and this is who's going to solve the problems. You're looking at that, to us, Green River. We've been selected to do this, and so we have to. And so, if it came off a little abrupt, I apologize, but I think the message was made clear, and that was the point of it. So, thank you for your time.
Commissioners, thank you for your time, for traveling over and spending some time with us and trying to bring some light to this. We greatly appreciate it, and we'll be in touch sooner than later. Yeah.
How about tomorrow night?
Yeah, how about tomorrow night? We'll get together.
Thank you. See everybody tomorrow night.
Good night.
Thanks. Councilors, with no further business to come before the city council, this meeting is